Good afternoon and a warm welcome to today's webinar. Those of you who have attended our webinars earlier, welcome back. For those of you who are attending the webinar for the first time, let me give you a brief introduction. This webinar is brought to you by the Partner Customer Connect initiative of IDS Next. We have integrated and continue to integrate with the best solutions that complement our enterprise hospitality systems. You can find a list of all the integrated and certified solutions on our marketplace, and our marketplace is on idsnext.com/marketplace. You can see the various partner solutions listed under different categories. We do this to eliminate your pain points of finding suitable products to complement your core system, and also the pain of running behind companies to get these integrated. Today's presentation is brought to you by OTA Insight. OTA Insight is an award-winning, leading cloud-based data intelligence platform for the hospitality industry. They provide hoteliers and revenue managers with a suite of revenue management solutions that deliver smarter revenue distribution and marketing outcomes. With 12 years of constant development and enhancement, OTA Insight equips hoteliers and revenue managers with historical, current, and future-looking data to guide decision-making with complete, real-time, and visual-friendly data sets. We are excited to launch our integration partnership with OTA Insight's business intelligence solution, Revenue Insight. This integration will allow mutual users to seamlessly pull data from their PMS to Revenue Insights interactive dashboard. This eliminates the need for you to extract and manipulate data in spreadsheets. OTA Insight has made the integration and maintenance costs complimentary for all IDS Next customers. Before I hand over to Sachin, our speaker today, let me let you all know that we have registered attendees from the Indian subcontinent, the Maldives, Kenya, Bahrain, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Vietnam, Thailand, and UAE. Wherever you are, welcome to the webinar. Let me introduce the speaker for today. Sachin Koshe is currently the Senior Business Development Manager of the Indian subcontinent with OTA Insight. He is responsible for driving brand awareness, building relationships with key hospitality partners, and working with local and regional hoteliers to enable and support a profitable revenue and distribution strategy. Sachin has been in the hospitality and travel space for over 17 years, with extensive experience ranging from e-commerce, OTAs, and travel tech platforms. Prior to joining OTA Insight, Sachin was an account manager at Booking.com and introduced and established the platform in Maharashtra. Sachin, I invite you to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Jacob, for the introduction. Uh, Allow me to just quickly share my screen. Well, I hope everyone is able to see my screen now.
Yes, Sachin.
And great. So every morning as a stakeholder, when we reach hotel or even before reaching hotel, one big thing is always there or constantly in our mind. That's what's exactly the data for my hotel for today. What exactly has happened yesterday. And once we reach the hotel or maybe our office, we look into those data points and we want to then further look into those insights. Now, today we are going to discuss how this VI solution and Revenue Insights will help you to drive from insights to action for your hotel so that we can have an edge over the competition and achieve those desired revenue for the hotel. So before we begin, I think the agenda is quite important over here to understand that how exactly the flow is going to be today. In agenda, we have three key points to discuss. One is the integration overview, then followed by the booking journey. I believe this is quite important to understand the booking journey. And then value of business intelligence tool. Every industry today is really looking into those business insights for their own business, and that's where this intelligence platform come handy. Now, before we begin, I think, as I mentioned earlier, that every bookings journey start with a PMS. Anything and everything the hotel is doing from a business perspective, every single data is stored in the PMS. Now, why this PMS become important? Because that's a powerhouse for your data. And that's where you'll be able to drive a lot of insights. Now, as I mentioned, that PMS is a powerhouse. It's a single unit, but it really needs those support from industry integration standard, which Jacob just mentioned some time back with numerous companies, they have integration. And that's where it becomes really important for a hotel to understand the importance of the BI and analysis system, which has become really very critical to capture those revenue what we are looking forward for. In this graph, you can basically see how through various channels the business is flowing in the hotel PMS, and it becomes really important to have those insights immediately on one single friendly dashboard. And then what about this data point? That data point then continues into the BI interface, where you'll be able to see on one screen multiple data points and you'll be able to identify a lot of insights. And these insights can be further implemented into our strategies to achieve that desired, yes, absolutely correct, revenue for the hotel. Now, before we begin, let's have something interesting over here. So I would request Senthil to maybe launch a poll over here that how are you currently analyzing your PMS data? And you have three options in this. The first one is it through Excel, which probably is one of the most traditional format which everyone probably is following? Is it through BI solution, which most of the industry has adapted this environment, or not enough time to analyze? I repeat, how are you currently analyzing your PMS data? We'll give few seconds over here so that everyone can actually look into those options and apply accordingly. Well, we are seeing the numbers going up. It's quite interesting to see this. Wow, that's amazing. And can you guess what could be the number one option at this point of time? Yes, it's Excel at this point of time. So everyone right now, what actually have the poll has suggested is Excel. The numbers are really high when it comes to the Excel sheet. I completely understand every single day you're surrounded with complex sheets of Excel, and at times it becomes really challenging to identify where exactly we need to focus. So why do I need a business intelligence solution? The answer is because, as I mentioned earlier, that the multiple sheets, it becomes difficult at times to identify where exactly I need to focus, what I need to really pick up. And that's where this business intelligence solution really comes into picture. Now, there are too much data, too many reports from the sales, from the revenue, from the different departments, from the distribution channel. And I think analysis is an integral part of understanding that where exactly the source of business is. To understand the hotel's performance, trends, and analysis, it becomes really important to have that solution, a single dashboard, because it's too much of data. I mean, you just can't run everywhere with those sheets. And that's where especially it's become crucial now because A, the time has changed, the consumer pattern has changed, the overall hospitality landscape has changed, and most importantly, we are facing a lot of less staffing at the hotel level. And that is really pushing every single person at the hotel to look into those insights, which will most importantly save the time. That's what we're talking about the new normal and what has changed. The behavior pattern, which I just mentioned, has really changed a lot. Based on my experience, when I talk to different part of the country, not only in India but outside India, with different chains and standalone hotels, the most important thing what they have mentioned is they have seen a change in behavior. The booking windows are shorter. The different sources market, the markets which they were not expecting have really started converting for them. And most importantly, are the cancellation pattern. This is something which is really important to understand for us. Everyone at the hotel level has put in a lot of efforts to bring in those business. And if we are seeing more cancellation coming in, we need to understand what exactly this pattern is and how we can change these policies to help to reduce the cancellation. Now, I think this looks quite familiar and similar to every one of you, what exactly this is all about. Now, this slide, what I'm showing you is basically tackling the challenges. Now, with the sheet, it's very important to understand what exactly I need to drive, what I need to see as an insight. But just imagine if you have so many such sheets, how much time is it going to consume? Plus, this is not really giving me a relevant answer. I need to really find cell by cell to understand, okay, where exactly the challenges are. And that's what we mentioned some time back, that how this BI solution will be quite helpful. And I believe everyone really answered that Excel is something which you're looking forward at this point of time. I hope you all agree with me that the time has come really to look into the solutions which will help to save the time for every single person at the hotel level to make those informed decisions. And how this is going to happen is the future is simpler, better, and faster. Now, why I'm saying that is because at OTA Insight, we believe in having those solutions which will help the hotel to take those decisions much faster in a much better analytical way, which will help them to drive those insights in a much simpler reporting format. And that's what the seamless data decisions will be able to make by the hotel level. Now, I have one more poll for you. Uh, this is something quite interesting because this all relates to what we are going to discuss in the next slides. So, which are the metrics that are key to your strategies? There are four options for you. Is it ADR? Is it RevPAR? Is it an occupancy? Or is it a segmentation? And these are the options which every morning we think about, we discuss about as a hotelier, isn't it? So I request Senthil to actually put the poll up. I know it's quite challenging to pick up any of these options because every single option is important. But yes, I think priority is important over here. What exactly you look forward from a strategy perspective? What is that metric, which is one of the most strongest pillar for you to decide what you need to focus? Well, we are seeing the numbers growing again. All right, so we have an interesting poll result out over here. It's basically RevPAR, and which is quite important for us. This is one of the most important KPI also from a hotel perspective. So thank you everyone for joining these two polls over here. However, let's look into the next area and let's move to the next one, that after looking at this poll, what is more interesting and enticing for us? How can Revenue Insight help you? So Revenue Insight can help you to look into all those parameters, like all your KPIs from your PMS, be it ADR, room nights, revenue, occupancy, RevPAR. Yes, that's absolutely correct what you heard from me. These are the key areas which everyone wants to really look every morning. What exactly has happened? You not only can look into those KPIs, you can also look into the pickup, the pace. You can also see which channels really perform well for my hotel, what are the length of the stays, booking window, which is very important for everyone. And I'll show you how the booking window really plays a magic while actually implementing those strategies for a hotel. So booking.com, when you actually is one of the distribution channel, you also can see that, and you also can see what Make My Trip and other channels have actually produced for your hotel. So that's what from a channel perspective and distribution perspective I was explaining. Further, what makes Revenue Insight unique? So it really saves a lot of your time, which is what very important for every single hotelier. It really helps you optimize the revenue channels, the drivers which I mentioned, just channels like Booking, Expedia, Agoda, be it online or offline channels. Monitor single performance on one single click. and empower the team to work together. Most interestingly, I would like to say that your business intelligence solution software from OTA Insight, the BI solution has been awarded for the third year in a row consecutively the Tech Award by Hotel Tech Award in 2023. So one of the BI solution which actually got 3 years in a row consecutively, the award is OTA Insight BI solution. Now, apart from those slides which I was mentioning to you, now let's look into the live product. I'm going to give you an overview that how exactly it looks like and how it is going to help you to solve everyday challenges when it comes to identifying and analyzing your own data. So just give me a moment. Yeah. So what we see whenever you log in, you'll be able to see what exactly your dashboard is all about. And when you log in, this is how you'll be able to see the dashboard. On the top, you will have multiple solutions which you are subscribed, and then you'll be able to see what exactly the revenue insight is all about. Now in this, you'll be also able to perform and see what exactly is happening. Let me just add one more hotel over here so it becomes much easier to identify and understand. Just give me a second. Let me show you a hotel, which really will help in analyzing the data point. Well, so whenever you log in, this is how you'll be able to see the dashboard. And on this is a revenue insight solution from OTA Insight. Now, what will this help you? This is what it gets integrated with your IDS system. As a revenue person, what will I do over here and what all details I'll be able to see? On the blue bar over here, you have multiple options. The first one is basically your date picker. Now, in this date picker, you'll be able to look into various options like the current month, current quarter, next 90 days, year to date, full year. You can even customize it. Yes, this year Diwali versus last year Diwali, because Diwali falls into 2 different months. And if you want to compare how my business is actually happening in during Diwali period, you can actually analyze those also. Let's pick up let's pick up say current month at this point of time, and then I get a reference time frame to actually select. It can be same day of the week, date of the week, same date last year, previous period. You can customize it here. And further, you can also look into budgets and forecast. You can upload your budgets and forecast over here. Further, you get to see from a bookings pattern perspective, also from a cancellation perspective. So that's what we were talking about, 2 different parameters over here to analyze the data. Let's stick to bookings at this point of time. Now, once you've selected this, you'll be able to see the first and the most important thing is your KPI. And this is what exactly my poll question was: your occupancy, your room nights, ADR, revenue, and RevPAR. What you see over here is not only the total occupancy for your hotel for that specific selected time frame versus the reference time frame, but you also can drill down at the segment level also. Similar goes with your room nights. And whenever you hover around on that specific area, it will give a small pop-up box, which will allow you to see this year versus last year, on the books versus cancellation, how things have moved for my hotel. Now that's basically, it's very important to understand that every single segment, then ADR for every single segment, revenues and RevPAR, how exactly has been performed. Apart from these KPIs, you also get to see the stated graph. Now, whatever you select on the top, maybe room nights, or maybe, for example, occupancy or ADR, the stated graph will change accordingly. I'll stick to room nights at this point of time. Here, I actually can further compare day-wise, week-wise, and even month-wise. So that's how I'll be able to compare. For example, if you want to compare what exactly the beginning of the week was for my hotel, I can just simply hover around and it will give me a quick information that, okay, for the first week of September, these was with my data point this year versus last year, on the books versus cancellation, and again, all the KPIs. Isn't it interesting to see all the data points of one single screen for you? This is where we talk about the insights and actionable insights and saving time. And similarly, you can view up to the last month, whatever you have selected time frame, and it will help you to understand, okay, currently on 25th September, Week, what is my status? It will immediately help me to understand where I need to focus. This is what I can see. I can see these green bars and red bars over here. The red is basically, red and green bars are basically positive and negative change compared to the reference time frame. I've selected last year, same date. If anything green means it is positive, anything red means it is slightly on the lower side compared to the reference time frame. However, we still have days to go for the second half of the month. So this hotel probably will see much upside on at the later stage. However, you can not only see those KPIs and the stated graph, you'll be also able to understand how exactly the business has picked up for that specific time frame. I can drill down every single point over here, like how it was yesterday, 3 days ago, 7, 14, and 30 days out for that selected time frame. I can open up an entire view, and this will help me to see how exactly the hotel has changed. Just a minute. Sorry for this technical stuff. And I'm back over here. Let me go back on revenue again. Yeah. So we were talking about the pickup and the pace. And if you open up, it will show you the entire detail, how exactly the business has picked up for the hotel for these specific time frame. You can always download this and share with the stakeholders also. Further, it's also important to understand how the business has been pacing for the entire month compared to the reference time frame for every single day. This will allow me to understand the pace of my business. The most interesting part now, and where the magic begins, is the breakdown. This is the area where you actually can play around with multiple options, like how the segment has performed and every subsegment of my property has performed, where exactly the business is coming to me. And whenever I hold around, it will give me quick information for that specific segment over here. I can drill down this at or at expansion level, and I can go and actually drill down every single segment over here. Now just imagine if this report you need to pull, you can download it immediately, but I believe then compiling it and then further analyzing it will take a lot of time. But as I mentioned, on one single click, you'll be able to see these data points over here. Further goes with the rate codes, what exactly rate codes are working. The travel agent, this is quite helpful for the hotels specifically, both the revenue and the sales team to understand how every single travel agent has performed well for that hotel, followed by length of the stay. This really adds a lot of value. One night is probably always going to be a dominating factor, but we need to understand what 2 nights and 3 nights has generated and yielded revenue for our hotel. Which day of the week is working well for me, whether it is a Monday, whether it is Tuesday, which day I get the maximum business, followed by the room categories. So you can drill down at a granular level over here. And more interestingly, the company perspective. So how sales team and the revenue team can further work together looking into the travel agent and company data is through this. This will help me to understand that how exactly every single company has performed for my hotel, whether it is an online travel agency, whether it is an offline travel agency, what revenue they've generated and what business they have already given to me for the specific month. And you can always click on Excel and download this any point of time. I was talking about a booking window. Yes, interestingly, we see 0 to 3 days is quite interesting. However, when we change the whole dynamics, if we change this to entire year, which will allow me to see how exactly the data point has changed for the hotel. This will not only tell me which exact booking window is working, whether it is just a 3 days booking window or whether it is a 50 days out booking window, that will give me more insights. Now you see, I've actually changed this to the entire year. 0 to 3 days is really working well, or you can see 50 plus days out is interestingly working much better for my hotel. And that's where this platform will be quite helpful. How? If I want to analyze further that, okay, who gives me the maximum business 50 days out, I can simply click on that and the entire dashboard will pivot for that specific time frame only. And that's where you'll be able to analyze what exactly the data points are there. So here it is. If I click here, It will change the entire dashboard and pivot it only for that 50 days plus post business. So here, not only with the KPIs, but every single thing changes for that specific time frame. Further, if I have to go granular, I want to understand transient business. I want to understand, say, basically weekday business for that specific selection. I can go as granular as I want to over here. And you can actually save this as a favorite also. You can save up to 20 favorites over here so that you can, any point of time, come back over here and analyze this and click on download Excel file, and you can share this with the stakeholders also. Now, whatever I was explaining you was from the bookings perspective, quickly to show you from the cancellation perspective. This will help me to analyze and understand where exactly the cancellations are happening. How much have the hotel lost in the cancellation? This is quite interesting because this not only tells me, again, from my KPI perspective, but also helps me to understand what is the pace of my cancellation. And one interesting thing I would like to show you, you see this upward curve over here. If you want to understand where did I get the cancellation, who contributed for the maximum cancellation during this time, simply select and drag that area, and the entire dashboard will change for that specific pivot. And it will help me to understand, okay, for this specific time frame, I receive the maximum cancellation from X, Y, or Z companies or XYZ channels. And that's where I'll be able to focus more. So that's how I'll be able to understand, okay, who gave me the maximum cancellations, and accordingly, I'll be able to drive it effectively. And similar goes with the companies. I'll be able to see who actually have offered me the maximum cancellations during that time frame. You can also see the cancellation lead time. So that will be quite helpful to understand that what cancellation lead time is really on a higher side. Is it between 0 to 3 days or between 1 to 3 days? I actually can see this more effectively over here. So the 0 basically also includes a no-show at the same time. Now, in this case, you can also, any point of time, pivot a lot of data points, just understand what exactly next 90 days business is coming for me, from where exactly the business coming in, which industries are performing for the next 90 days, how I can actually drive my sales team towards those industries. A lot of these data points can be derived from here. This is for the next 90 days, and I can go and check which companies are performing for the next 90 days in future and which channels are really performing well for me for the next 90 days in the future. And similarly, I can view from a cancellation perspective. One last important thing I want to actually highlight over here, when you want to do these breakdowns more effectively to understand more detailed data, you actually can do your own PMS mapping. On the simply, you just need to click on the star button, or you just click on the settings icon, just go to PMS mapping tab, and then you'll be able to create your own segments with these hierarchies. You just simply have to create these. Your PMS value is already there, and you can change the display names any point of time and simply align them in which segment or which category you want to align them. Similar to the rate code, similar to the travel agent, and with the company. One interesting thing, as I mentioned, is that I have seen a lot of hotels, what they do when it comes to companies, they create a hierarchy, either category wise, category A, these are the companies which will be there, category B, these are the companies which will be there, or they do it as industry wise. So that really helps them to understand, as I mentioned, like next 90 days, which industries are performing well. Okay, is it mining, is it hospitality, or is it government organization from where we're getting more business? And that's where you'll be able to strategize effectively. And finally, followed by the room categories over here. In this revenue insight, you can always select and download the data points for your analysis. That was the quick overview. Just going back quickly on the slide. Now, why it is important for commercial leaders to strategize instead of analyze? The answer is pretty simple, because that will save a lot of your time. Because when you actually have to pull the reports, it's not about just pulling one report, but multiple reports. And with those multiple reports, really consumes so much of time for us. So analyzing is really important. And as we see the poll, the first poll, which suggested that it's more of Excel, now you can imagine you don't have to really create those Excel sheets. You can simply click and download those Excel sheets, whichever you're looking forward for. And that's where this will help to save the time and implement those strategies within those time to have an edge over the competition, considering and understanding the market behavior and own insights for the hotel. How can you strategize? There are various areas, but if we look at a quick three areas, like, from the pickup perspective, like how the business has booked yesterday versus 3 days ago, and how it has affected my business. We need to really understand from which market, which segments the business has picked up for us, whether it is a right yielding strategy. Is that the channel which I need to really focus? Or there are some other channels which I probably can yield higher returns. These are few areas which you can work on, those 0 to 3 days or whatever booking window you're looking forward for. Now, quickly, we're also looking at the segment perspective. So that will be really quite helpful. And finally, the value of your distribution channel is quite important. We need to really focus which channels we need to absorb. And bottom line, which I've already covered, saving time, reducing complexity, increasing efficiency, and reaching commercial goals is quite important for us. I've just presented this QR code over here. So the best part of the partnership is there is no integration fee. So if you're interested, you can scan the QR code and register for a demo for your hotel. Jacob, over to you.
Thank you, Sachin.
Thank you.
That was a wonderful presentation, and
thank you.
It's time now for the audience to ask questions. Everybody, all of you are invited to unmute and ask your questions, or if you would like to type in your questions in the chat window, I could read it out to Sachin and team, and then they would give you the response.
Yep.
So I invite the audience now to unmute and ask any questions that you may have. I have a few questions that have come up. Sachin, is how long does the integration setup process take typically, and would it have any implications to hotel operations?
Oh, great question. So integration doesn't take much time. It will take basically between 7 to 12 working days, depending upon how fast the hotel responses and how we get the data points. We just take another 2 days to validate that data if everything is flowing correctly. So on an average, anywhere between 7 to 12 working days is what we will look forward for. It can be shorter than that also, depending upon how fast we get the data.
Right. I hope that answers the question. The other question that's come up is how often is the data updated?
Yeah, that's a good question. Data is updated once in 24 hours after the night audit. So that's how the system works.
All right. So the next question is, if I'm a commercial leader with multiple properties in my portfolio, would I be able to see insights from all properties or just the independent ones?
Oh, that's a very good question. And it's very important for multi-property users to have access under one single window. And we do have that feasibility with IDS hotels, where you'll be able to see if you have multiple hotels, even if you have 2 hotels and above, you'll be able to see under single login over there.
Right. So those were the questions that came up. Let's wait for more questions to come in.
Sure.
Keshav has asked what all the data require. So I'm not really sure whether you can get the question, Sachin.
Well, so basically, it's more of a technical question. It's very simple. Once you confirm, we then connect with IDS team, and from there we take it forward. That's where the 2 different teams actually work together. So not much from the hotel side is required. Is between OTA Insight and IDS Next.
All right. So to answer that question, perhaps what they were looking at is, so this API is already built, and you just have to enable the API, and all the data that's required will flow in automatically. There's nothing for the hotel to do, right? So yeah, makes
absolutely
sense. Makes sense. Dawood Qureshi, I not able to understand this question. So you have asked industry movement is defined in how many kilometers? So I'm not really clear on that question.
So basically, I'm trying to understand, being in Mumbai, we have so every segment, every market is defined in radius kilometers. So we capture 5-kilometer radius from the hotel, from left and center, up, down. So this industry movement, what we were talking about, is defined in kilometers. Radius kilometer is the city segment movement. So this is what my question is.
Okay.
So basically, when I actually spoke about that PMS mapping, we are purely talking about your own hotel data, and that is where you'll be able to define that what exactly business you're getting and from which industries are they coming in. There could be industry which might be 10 kilometers away, 15 kilometers away, but they might be wanting to stay at your hotel. That is something which is completely separate. But from what exactly industry that business has come to you, that will be stored in your PMS, and that's how you'll be able to analyze that data. It has nothing to do with the external data. It is purely your internal data, what we're talking about.
So it doesn't share that market information.
Not at this point of time.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
A question from Soundarajan: do we need to upgrade on system side and version? So I think that's for us. What you could do is to get in touch with the customer support team because I do not really know what version you are on. So if you're on 6.5 or 7, I think that should do. So I hope that answers your question. But to be safe, please reach out to our customer care, and they will help you with the best version. The other question that's come up here again is we can use the platform on IDS or OTA Insight. So I think the question here is just hang on a second. Let me kind of bring that up again. Sorry, okay. So the question here is, Sharda, we can use platform on IDS or OTA Insight. So I think the question is whether OTA Insight dashboard is available within the IDS Next software, or do they have to go out and see it in your platform? So that's the question, Sachin.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat once again? I just missed some words in between.
Okay, so can we use the platform on IDS or OTA Insight? So that's the question. So what I'm assuming is what she's asking is whether the dashboard that you provide can be seen within the IDS PMS, or do they have to come out and see it in your?
Okay, got a point. No, that's going to be a separate login for them, and that's how they'll be able to view what exactly their details are.
Right. Best practices on market segmentation theory that you have seen from your customers.
Yeah, so which I've already mentioned that every company, every hotel has their own way to look at the market segment. Some might look from a category perspective. Say they have some premium accounts which they want to put into category A, and then they have different accounts which they want to put in category B. So you can actually categorize it also, or you can go from an industry perspective also. Like, okay, airlines, if they have a lot of crews staying in their hotel, so they actually can define that business under airline business. And at the same time, if they have a lot of government employees staying with them, they actually can define them into a government business, and then so on, like mining. So that's how you actually can define. This is what I've basically seen. For leisure markets, I've basically seen more coming in from the location. That's how they actually define it. So it really depends upon property to property, and happy to connect and showcase how we can further look into those areas depending upon what business is generated for that specific property.
Right. So I think there's just one more question here. Like,
yep.
From your experience, who from the commercial team uses or owns the analyzing of data, and what frequency do they share these insights with the other commercial teams? I hope you get that.
Yeah, that's a very important question. I think every department needs data today. And it's not just limited to the sales team or the revenue team. Of course, the revenue team is more into data point, but if you see today, how every department looking at these data points can connect together. The revenue can look into from an online perspective, the data points. The sales and marketing team can look from an offline perspective, like which industries are performing. And how marketing team can support over here is by driving a lot of ROI driven promotions, using those Google AdWords. Okay, these are the industries which are really performing well. How we can position our product, our hotel for those industries or in those markets, maybe if the online movement is really looking high for the hotel, then what can be done, which is that online channel where we want to position from a marketing perspective. It's not just limited to these departments, but at the same time, different stakeholders, as I mentioned earlier, like it could be the general manager, it could be the ownership, or it could be the corporate hotels, corporate offices, I mean to say, sorry. They also can have access from a multi-property view, and they can see, okay, which direction is the business going, where exactly they want to take this business further, what are the insights they're looking, how they can action this further, because every hotel will have its own strategy when it comes to implementing those. So these data points will be not only utilized by one department, but there could be a collaboration within different departments and the offices to look at these data points and streamline the strategies further.
Right, thanks. There's another question. I think it's for us at IDS. I have a technical question. IDS not support all the screen resolution that fit to the screen. Why? So the simple answer to that, I mean, this does not pertain to this particular session, but just to answer that question, we have two flavors of our enterprise solutions. One is on the cloud, which comes off a browser, and one is on-premise, which is from an EXE, right? So as you're all aware that an EXE requires a certain resolution for it to display optimum alignment. And when it's a cloud solution and when it's on the browser, you can resize and fit it to any size that you wish to. So I hope that answers. If anyone else has got any other questions pertaining to OTA Insight and this integration, you have a couple of more minutes, you know, to unmute and ask. Or
Jacob, meanwhile, I'll just share the screen because I think we also have a feedback form, which in case if they want to fill in, so that will be much helpful. They can just scan the QR code. If that's okay, I'll just share the screen.
Oh yeah, sure. I think Tanya will take over from there. And after that, I will ask our, you know, audience to connect with you on a marketplace. So yeah.
Sure. So this is what basically your QR code is. If in case you have any, it's a feedback form which you can actually scan through your phone and register. But meanwhile, if there is any question, happy to answer them.
Right. So I'll just share my screen for the benefit of the audience on how to reach out to you. So just give me a second while I share my screen.
I'll just stop sharing.
Can you see my screen, Sachin?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so to all those, all the attendees, as I mentioned at the beginning, we have our marketplace on idsnext.com/marketplace. OTA Insight. I mean, you can find all our partners in different categories out here, and OTA Insight being a premium marketplace partner, you can find them right on top. All you need to do to get in touch with them is click on this button. You have OTA Insights, description, and you have a get in touch with OTA Insight button, which opens up a form like this. All you need to do is fill in your name, designation, and any specific message that you have. Please, save this, and your inquiry will go directly to OTA Insight, and they will reach out to you back on the phone or email that you have provided. I hope this helps, and that's it, I think, for today, Sachin, unless you have anything else from your side.
No, I'll be just waiting for the queries and registration from the participants, and look forward from there to support everyone.
Right, Tanya, so would you like to?
Yeah, I would like to close. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. Thank you, Sachin, for that very insightful discussion on how we can have better strategies with the right kind of analysis. Thank you, Jacob, for your time as well on this. And we do look forward to feedback from all of you on our website. Do get in touch with us on idsnext.com/marketplace, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.